The more I'm on the internet lately, the more I realize that people have forgotten about influencers or notable icons that were once popular for their reputation, or at least have forgotten the reputation that they became popular for. A reputation filled with drug-induced insanity, sociopathic tendencies, abuse, breakdowns, psych wards, a list of crimes, lies, and fraudulent activity. You'll recognize these people if you've been on the internet for the last 10 years, or if you're older than 20 years of age. Sam Pepper, Fousey, Ethan Bradbury, Joey Salads, and the person I want to put on blast, Vitaly. Vitaly originated on YouTube 12 years ago, making videos that by many of today's standards are considered to be appalling and reprehensible. A lot of Vitaly's content consisted of him being a menace to the general public as he performed several public disturbances consisting of, but not limited to, actions such as annoying workers, harassment, sexual harassment, impersonating law enforcement, among many other things. With videos such as disturbing the peace 1 through 11, Tanisha in public, and how to pick up girls 1 through however many there are, collectively gaining millions upon millions of views, it was no secret that Vitaly's antics proved to be entertaining and fruitful.
What are you scared of?
Are you guys like threesome kind of guy, man for woman on Craigslist?
Wow.
Yeah, I'm into those kind of things, if you know what I mean.
That's kind of an interesting observation. What would make you think that at all?
It does not make me think. It's because what I do for a living. So I thought you guys do that for a living too.
Oh, you do that for a living?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a Craigslist hooker.
This meant that in order for Vitaly to consistently maintain his relevancy and rise to YouTube stardom, he needed to consistently behave in deplorable manners to keep millions of viewers interested in every upload. Over the years, as YouTube pranks began trailblazing a new era of mainstream entertainment, many creators such as Roman Atwood, Prank vs Prank, FouseyTube, and several other obnoxious pranksters found themselves with plenty of competition in the scene. In an attempt for these pranksters to stand out in an overwhelming sea of copycats and wannabe YouTube famous kids, many began faking their pranks and hiring actors for their content as the years went by. 6 to 8 years of this later, speculation of fake pranks began to become a hot topic within the drama sphere of YouTube, with creators such as H3H3 calling out pranksters such as Joey Salads for ruining society by misrepresenting social events, hiring actors to do things that normally wouldn't happen under typical circumstances.
Watch this. Guys, just feast your fucking eyes on this fucking beautiful thing, dude! Is that Joey Salad standing in front of the same car with all these black hooligans? So what we have here is somebody oversaw this social experiment going down and filmed the whole thing. The same black actors that destroyed the car are standing with Joey right behind the camera as he does his introduction. What does that mean? If I have to spell it out, I guess that means that it's fake.
What's up guys, Joey Salads here, and you may have seen on the internet and through the polls that a lot of black people don't like Trump. So what I did was, I got a car, put some Trump apparel on it, and we're gonna park it in a black neighborhood and see what happens.
So now let's actually see what this staged fake ass video has done to the fucking world, this planet that we live in. Every one of them deserves to be shot. Anyone that sympathizes with these ignorant thugs deserves to be shot. It's all the way down. I mean, you get the idea. But my point is, the reason why I'm so happy today is just because this time we don't even need to have a debate about if it's fake or not. It's fucking fake, guys. And Joey Salads, you are pretty much the worst person in America right now as far as I'm concerned. You are pretty much going to start a civil war in this country. And let me tell you what, dude. When it goes down, okay, when the race wars inevitably happen, and it's all your fault, Joey, just remember, all lives matter. Except for fucking salad matters, dude.
More discourse circulated throughout the prank scene, and ultimately notable members of the scene began to cannibalize and throw each other under the bus for faking pranks, despite being amicable in the past. A notable example of this is Vitaly calling out several pranksters for being fake, implying that his were real, then calling out Fousey in the process, and shortly after, Fousey himself calling out Vitaly for claiming to be the only person who doesn't fake his pranks. And further down the line, Vitaly himself admitting to faking his pranks. The event preceding this entire drama, however, is what I argue set this snowball effect into motion. In an attempt to cement some moral virtuous argument about people believing everything at face value, further discrediting pranksters on the YouTube scene and killing the hype of prank content on YouTube, Fousey and RiceGum collaborated and faked a fight between themselves. People caught on to the absurdity and hoax that was the situation almost as soon as the entire thing went viral. From these points onward, Vitaly in tandem with prank content on YouTube was losing notoriety rapidly, as pranksters on YouTube were no no longer taken seriously as the community surged with disinterest in potentially faked pranks. Following a series of video removals per YouTube censorship, failed ventures such as Vitaly Uncensored, and self-destructive habits, Vitaly spiraled and eventually ended up attacking a woman while under the influence of various drugs, and soon began his fall to rock bottom. Notably, this resulted in his arrest and a long break from YouTube. At the time, it was pretty evident based on Vitaly's history, which included breaking into and stripping across events of all kinds, such as sports matches and influencer wannabe Grammys, that Vitaly had become a genuine menace to society, far more than his initial content let on. The attack that went down in question gained mainstream coverage and was reported by many outlets to be brutal, unprovoked, and a drug-fueled attack on an unsuspecting victim.
Why do you keep coughing? Because you're what?
I'm a mushroom.
A mushroom?
Yeah.
That makes you cough? Oh, I didn't know that was a side effect.
Vitaly would also face legal consequences for these actions via felony charges and a lawsuit from the victim herself following the attack, which would leave the victim horribly wounded and disfigured, or so her suit claimed. The reports go as follows. Vitaly jumped out from behind bushes and punched her from behind, tackled her to the ground, and while straddling her, savagely punched and beat her mercilessly with a closed fist about the head, face, and body until her screams for help were heard by neighbors. While many still speculated about the motives behind this attack at the time, and information came out about his drug abuse and mushroom dosages, which in this case was considered to be the main cause of this attack following the body cam footage of Vitaly's arrest, Vitaly himself would speak on the matter in Roman Atwood's podcast, where he addresses his charges and the lawsuit, which to many gave a bit of clarity to the situation.
Every drug you're talking about sounds good. I'm cutting through waves. I can see the future.
No, but mushrooms are good. I never had a bad trip until that one time where I flew. So I was COVID mushrooms. I was bored. I was shooting Vitaly Uncensored. People were scared to fly to my house because of COVID. So I was alone. So I was like, I'm going to take my jet ski and have fun alone. And my friends decided to come to shoot for Vitaly Uncensored. And, you know, when they say, when you take mushrooms with other people, you might have a bad trip. So I decided to double my dosage. I took 60 grams of mushrooms. That's 17 times more than an average person should take. It took one person to piss me off out of my friends. He pissed me off, and I don't know what changed in my brain. Everything. I thought I was dying. I thought the whole world is stripping. I poisoned the whole world. And I said, everyone hates me. I thought about you. I thought about all the biggest YouTubers that I work with. Like, nobody's ever going to work with me again. Like I feel like I manifested this because the incident happened 15 minutes later. It was bad. And then I'm running for help to people. Like, people are getting scared. And I just have flashbacks from this. I see this girl jogging, and the TMZ article lied. I did not jump out of the bushes. She's running towards me. Last thing I remember is please help. And I tried to hug her, and she pushed me or whatever. And I hit her, and I realized what I was doing on top of her, and I was like, what the fuck? And I didn't even run back to the house. The article says I tried to hit my house. I didn't know what was happening. I walked back to the house, and then my security came 5 minutes late because my friends called my security, were like, we can't calm Vitaly down.
This would mark one of Vitaly's first prominent reappearances in the mainstream prankster scene since 2020 following this controversy. His appearance on the Roman Atwood podcast was met with harsh criticism. No, I'm actually wrong on that, but that's what many would expect, right? This episode featuring Vitaly would actually be received very well. The episode itself getting 1.4 million views to this day, and even bolsters a very decent like-to-dislike ratio with 40,000 likes and 2,000 dislikes. The comments themselves are very telling, with many glad to see Vitaly back, telling his stories and welcoming his return, expressing their feelings of nostalgia. Ethan Klein from H3H3 himself seemed to be glad that Vitaly had seemingly changed as a person.
He could have still been charged even if the victim didn't want
the main
charge.
point here is that you can see how sorry he is, and he's changed.
Yeah.
As horrible of an incident as it was, he's grown from it.
Many might ask now, well, did he go back to being an obnoxious prankster? And the answer may not surprise you. The answer is yes, as his first upload that very same year was a video going over his rise and fall, and then on July 13, 2022, just 5 days after that upload, being a farting on girls prank. And just like that, Vitaly was back, terrorizing the poor citizens of Miami. Well, not exactly, seeing as both of those videos are seemingly deleted, and his channel shows a 4-year-long absence since 2020. For these past past 4 years, Vitaly had been a pretty obscure individual, and I say that very loosely as he had tried many times to come back, only for his performance never to match his presence pre-2020, all of his videos only getting a fraction of what he used to pull. But as all clout-hungry, money-hungry, roided-up, obnoxious clout goblins typically do, he pursued a live streaming career over on Kick. And what better way to return than to mock your best friend, or rival, or enemy? It's really hard to tell whether they were friends again by this point in time or not, considering the animosity. But yes, Vitaly returned to Kick by imitating Fousey, someone Vitaly used to collaborate with extensively, traveled with, and even beefed with. But in this case, his imitation would not be flattery. As I said, it was a mockery. Vitaly dressed up as Fousey for the express purpose of acting like a lunatic in the general public or towards anyone he met. And thus, Vitaly returned to being an overall nuisance to anyone and everyone he met, going as far as to even act like a dog in public for the sake of garnering a reaction from people. With time, Vitaly continued to resurface some of his original antics he began his career with, such as hitmen in public, or attempted to hit on girls in public, which went about as you'd expect. Fast forward a few months, and Vitaly had almost instantly transitioned into predator hunting, and this is where this video catches up to Vitaly in the present, and how he continues to be a menace not only to the people around him, but a menace to society. Despite Vitaly's recent return to the internet as a predator hunter, a form of vigilantism that most would consider a positive addition to society, Vitaly has not changed one bit. While most people would argue that what Vitaly is doing in terms of predator hunting is a good thing for society, I believe that it's quite the opposite, and by a decent margin. You see, Vitaly's reputation was absolutely tarnished following his mushroom-induced attack on an innocent bystander, and Vitaly has tried everything under the sun in an attempt to become mainstream and relevant again, with no regard for anyone's concern or moral reflection. Vitaly doesn't care about what he does or how he affects other people, he only cares about how he's perceived and the clout he gains. So instead of trying to go back to pranks, streaking, or doing both on IRL streams, he has resorted to predator hunting as a quick and easy way to get a bunch of support from stupid, impressionable, and immature kids on Kick, a live streaming service filled with viewers equally as brain dead or even more so than the person they view. Some will ask, why is predator hunting bad? I think what Vitaly is doing is perfectly fine as long as it's against pedophiles. My rebuttal is that predator hunting is an incredibly tricky form of vigilantism that is hard to properly practice. While there are good examples of good predator hunters who have become successful at their craft, such as Alex Rosen or the world-renowned Chris Hansen, not everyone is particularly responsible with their endeavors to expose disgusting and vile child exploiters. In the case of Chris Hansen, which arguably is the best example for a successful and efficient predator hunting, no, I'm kidding, that wasn't the case at all. But regardless, we're going to focus on this example as a juxtaposition for my following points. In the case of Chris Hansen's To Catch a Predator, what it was really commendable for during its time is that it brought a lot of attention to a problem that was relatively unheard of during the early 2000s era of the internet. While the problem was relatively common and spoken about, it wasn't until To Catch a Predator caught the nation by storm that an underlying issue with the internet and its ease of access to anyone and everyone via chat rooms became extremely prevalent. And this can be attributed to be a direct cause of the child predator panic of the 2000s. While awareness of child exploitation at the time was at an all-time high, having always been a concerning potential risk to children who used the internet since the 90s, a lot of Chris Hansen's predators did not actually face the consequences of their disgusting ambitions. In a case I'll be referencing, 24 men would be quote-unquote caught by Chris Hansen in a show, but all 24 of those men would not be caught by the scales of justice. In one notable case, a 28-year-old man caught by Chris Hansen and his crew could not be prosecuted as the judge threw out the case entirely for To Catch a Predator's failure to prove intent. In an even more notable case many of you have more than likely heard of, another individual, Bill Conrad, an assistant district attorney of Dallas, Texas, would end up taking his own life during the unfolding events of a botched sting operation. This entire situation can be used as a compelling cautionary tale that demonstrates the dubious nature of vigilantism, the importance of integrity in journalism, and more importantly, the significance of proper investigation procedures and indisputable evidence. As the story goes, Dateline's Perverted Justice teamed up with law enforcement in Murphy, Texas, in an attempt to launch a large-scale anti-predator operation. Along the lines, it was alleged that Conrad came into contact with one of Perverted Justice decoys, but as news of this got out and reached Conrad from people on the inside, Conrad's alleged communication with the decoy ceased. However, Dateline NBC decided to bring the investigation directly to him. Chris Hansen asked local police to cooperate with this investigation with the intent to ambush Conrad in the name of To Catch a Predator. Because of this, and the eagerness of local law enforcement to make a name for themselves nationwide, a warrant was hastily prepared with no concern for proper preparations. After the warrant was issued the same day, a 7-man SWAT team took the order to search his house, and in a messy raid, got in an altercation with Conrad himself. Conrad, in this situation, now being in the sights of SWAT with a gun in hand, was loosely recalled by officers present on the scene to say, "I'm not going to hurt anybody," before shooting himself in the head, those words being his last. During this search, his laptop was seized for forensic analysis. However, before it was confirmed, Dateline reported that child exploitative material was found in Conrad's laptop. This would turn out not to be the case, as Esquire confirmed that forensic analysis in fact did find Conrad's logs with perverted justice decoy, but no evidence of any child graphic content. A wrongful death lawsuit ensued following the malpractices of NBC, a lawsuit that NBC was ultimately forced to settle for an undisclosed amount. As for the Murphy Police Department, their credibility was tarnished for being collaborators with NBC, and not a single one out of the 24 individuals caught by their operations through Dateline's To Catch a Predator would face punishment for failure to provide proper evidence, as well as law enforcement acting on behalf of NBC rather than justice of the law, as they were criticized by the court for doing this not for the law, but for attention and notoriety. Now, how does this tie into Vitaly and his exploits? You see, since Vitaly began his predator hunting arc, a large majority of the pedophiles that he hunts down are mainly exposed live on Kick, not for the sake of awareness, but for the sake of entertainment. While I cannot definitively express that clout is Vitaly's intent, the problem is not only within his intent, whether he's in it to provide a public service or in it purely for clout. The larger problem lies in what the public perceives. In one case, while slightly critical and considerate, Vitaly was directly confronted by LAPD and was criticized for his lack of professionalism, telling him that there must be better and safer, more legal ways of practicing his predator hunting, even saying that from that point forward, it would be reports only.
Be a better way to do it, and a safer way and a legal way of doing it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's where you don't get arrested for trying to do the right thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's my only advice right now. My partner's just waiting for one more phone call. It looks like just reports only.
Okay.
On both ends.
Okay.
Don't hold me to it. Don't be like, hey.
In tandem, we have another direct confrontation to Vitaly, where he was made aware that LA's district attorney would no longer be prosecuting predators.
They're basically like, Desk Sergeant has said, don't bring him in. There's nothing that the DA is going to do now. Just write it up, file it up, and that's all we can do now. LA is not going to prosecute pedophiles. So we got to just keep bringing a light to it, because unfortunately, no fault of theirs.
Hold on a
They've done
second.
everything they can for us, but it's the DAs in California that are refusing to prosecute pedophiles.
This is
Police are doing everything they can, but the DA is not supporting them.
In defense of Vitaly, however, to say that Vitaly was the cause of this particular response from law enforcement in LA would be unfair, so I will remove that assertion immediately, as California has always been pretty lenient towards pedophiles and other criminals in general. From this point forward, Vitaly vowed to be far more cruel and uncivil in his approach to catching predators.
This is why no more fucking cops. I'm bringing all the fucking tools in the world tomorrow. I'm bringing a chainsaw. I'm bringing a fucking pepper spray.
This would not be the only time that law enforcement criticized Vitaly for his reckless and shallow predator hunting style. In another case, Vitaly lured a pedophile into a home where he had a decoy posing as a 15-year-old boy. This particular stunt involved Vitaly and team threatening the suspect with either an alligator or law enforcement. This situation itself went pretty viral at the time. And while the suspect in this case did get arrested and is facing a charge for traveling to meet a minor for sex, local law enforcement were not too happy to be participating in such a dangerous operation, or so they claim. Police called it a vigilante-style operation that is dangerous and should be left to professionals. You have no idea what these people are capable of when they are inserted into desperate situations, said MDPD Detective Andre Martin. You don't know if they're armed with weapons. You don't know what they're willing to do. There are many laws and many standards that dictate how an investigation is conducted, said Martin. Police indicated this stunt may have done more harm than good. If you involve yourself in something like this, you may be opening yourself up to prosecution, said Martin. You may be tainting a case, you may be damaging evidence that is later going to cause the individual that you are trying to get off the streets to walk out of jail free. Already in this instance, we see pretty harsh criticism directly from local law enforcement expressing their dissatisfaction towards Vitaly's antics, calling it dangerous, potentially tainting the case, stating that catching predators is best left to professionals. While I would like to give charitability to Vitaly for his predator hunting endeavors, putting pedophiles in jail and providing a service to the public, based on his track record and circumstances, I can't in good faith say that Vitaly is doing his predator hunting out of the goodness of his heart. While there is some good in what Vitaly is doing, ultimately his endeavors would and will continue to do more harm than good. It does not help his case that his particular attempt at vigilantism has been turned into an entertainment series at its core. So to say that Vitaly is doing this purely for clout is by all means a fair assessment. I'll elaborate. Vitaly at this point has produced a formula of predator hunting entertainment that combines real-life pedophile exposés, celebrities of many calibers, and over-the-top, wacky, and uncharacteristic occurrences. While Vitaly does a good job at publicly humiliating potential predators, he also detracts from his ability to be taken seriously by anyone outside of his audience. Sound familiar? I'll expand on that by bringing up a few notable moments of Vitaly's escapades. In one instance, Vitaly partnered up with notorious, world-famous Kanye collaborator Lil Pump.
You're such a fucking hoe, I love it.
In this particular case, Vitaly went around hunting predators with Lil Pump, where they would bait out individuals only for Lil Pump to harass them in the best way possible.
You're such a fucking pedo, you love it. Your boyfriend is a dork.
Louder.
Make love it.
While Vitaly's methodology is very unorthodox when it comes to predator hunting, I have to give credit where credit is due and say that this is incredibly entertaining. And while the predator at hand does deserve the humiliation, unfortunately, their unorthodox methods do not accomplish the incredibly sought-after conclusion of catching a predator or pedophile and putting them in their place. 6 feet under. Jail. In another case featuring Vitaly and Lil Pimp.
And speaking of sound, music, and other things, one of the big superstars of the world, Lil Pimp. There he is.
They had encountered a pedophile twice after baiting him out, but instead of calling law enforcement for a repeat intent to meet a minor, which is a federal offense by the way, they simply harassed this guy for over an hour, broke his phone, which could have contained crucial evidence, and then after everything was said and done, forced him to fillet their prop microphone. To make this worse, this entire attempt to expose a predator was heavily disorganized and unplanned, with Vitaly seemingly dreading the idea of abiding by legal standards, or even notifying law enforcement, which in my amateur opinion could have potentially put this guy in jail for attempting to meet a minor twice and potentially having evidence on his phone. However, to assume that this could have been the case at all, seeing how Vitaly had no actual plan to make this illegal operation, would be too charitable.
We should have had him already here when we pulled up. Guys, this is anticipation. No one's lagging, guys. We're chilling. It's part of the process. This is why it's live. It's not a YouTube video. It's not cut, bro. How you guys want it, bro. Bro, a second fucking time, bro. But did you tell him in Spanish that that was wrong what he did the first time?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm shaking right now. I'm about to pass out. What a fucking piece of shit.
Can you do me a huge favor?
Give him to Diddy.
Can you give me a shaver?
Like a buzzer?
Like a buzzer, yeah. A buzzer. Get some tweezers. I'm playing with you. Not that and like some like ghetto ass soap.
Well, I think we got enough evidence if we call the cops to arrest him. This is twice now, but it's LA, bro. I'm so fucking dude. I can't just go to the bus. No.
Huh?
I can't, bro. I can't go back to the bus.
Nah.
I gotta do something, bro. It's not me right now.
Yeah. Not same.
It's not me. We're not done with him, bro. We're just getting started. I'm fucking pissed right now. These these rules, I gotta go crazy. I can't do this shit. I'm not doing this if I have to follow these fucking laws, bro. I'm telling you, bro. I don't want to do this if I have to follow the laws, bro. The guy deserved more. The guy deserved more. The guy deserved more. No, we already let him go. The guy deserved more, bro. So what's next one? Huh? You're a pedophile, let him go again? Huh? You're a pedophile, let him fucking go again? You know what, bro?
Let's put him in jail.
I'm here for the viewers.
Yeah, fuck it.
And I'm here for the chat. And I'm gonna fucking, he's already probably gone. I'm here.
And we're calling the next pedo. We're calling the next pedo.
The cops let him go. He didn't learn his fucking lesson, dude.
Santi has enough evidence to put these guys away. It's different this time. We have stacks of evidence on all these guys.
Bro, I feel like I let my chat down, and I'm fucking pissed.
So instead of making this a practical endeavor, this confirms that he is just using potential predators for content and entertainment instead of following the proper proceedings. Not that there was any question about that, I just like to try to find charitability in everything, if there is any. That's besides the point. In another collaboration with notorious world world-famous Kanye collaborator, for real this time, $, we get one of the most notable examples of Vitaly's schemes causing more harm than good. In a clip that went incredibly viral, Vitaly and $, would confront a suspected predator only for one of the worst possible outcomes to happen. I may have heavily censored this, but I'll explain what happened in the clip. Vitaly confronts and addresses this 73-year-old man as a predator, then another person walks up to sucker punch this man only to leave him on the floor next to a pool of blood, unconscious. It was speculated at the time that this man could have potentially died from this attack, but it would later be made clear that this individual would in fact survive the attack and be arrested. Also, by worst possible outcomes, I mean worst possible for Vitaly. While the predator in question got arrested according to Vitaly and his team, there is always the possibility that due to Vitaly's instigation, he himself could face charges for inciting violence or face yet another lawsuit. That, or the person who attacks said predator, could face legal repercussion, and despite the quote-unquote victim also being a predator, the law will not stop human filth from their right to press charges. However, and I say this very boldly, I am not a legal expert, so anyone is welcome to hold up this claim to scrutiny. But I must bring up the hypothetical scenario that if Vitaly were to have taken a more grounded and professional approach, none of this would have happened. There would not have been a potential scare of the predator dying as a result of the attack, there would not have been the potential risk of facing charges by any participating party, and there would not have been someone there to impulsively react to the news of a pedophile by attacking them. I'm not saying that these subhuman individuals don't deserve what's coming to them, but overall, it is more important and productive to have them properly face the consequences in a properly executed sting than show to the world that you are irresponsible with your operations, and that's just an understatement. Vitaly is more than just irresponsible with his operations, seeing the amount of negligence and ignorance he willingly commits to for the sake of growing his repertoire on Kick. The amount of negligence I showed you so far isn't even the tip of the iceberg. There is a catalog of things Vitaly has done that could come around and bite him in the ass, seeing as almost everything he's been involved in seems to be highly illegal. One such example I want to bring up is this particular clip where Vitaly is seen lighting someone on fire and breaking a chair on his back. In my opinion, it's safe to say that there's a high probability that some of these occurrences could have in fact been staged. That's not out of the question. However, this all ties into another variable in my equation. Vitaly not only neglects the law, but is willing to make a mockery of what should be a very serious operation. And seeing as Vitaly has been and still is a very prominent controversial figure in the media, it only muddies the water and ruins potential credibility for other more effective predator hunters. When you see exploits like these being held to harsh criticism by many who are looking into your actions, it comes at no surprise that others in the same field may be held to these same standards. It may also come as a bit concerning that people are actually showing sympathy or even in some odd cases, siding with the alleged pedophiles for Vitaly's gross mishandling of nearly every situation he comes across. And just to add to the cherry on top, Vitaly is not even effective at catching predators. Per my research, I can only find 2 cases where Vitaly actually managed to get a pedophile arrested, but a conviction is still uncertain. With the fundamental lack of credibility and care Vitaly shows for these cases, the possibility of a predator potentially walking free is significantly higher when in juxtaposition to many of To Catch a Predator's failures. Not only that, but the possibility of Vitaly becoming a victim of circumstances himself is on the radar, seeing as many ambitious predator hunters in the past have been either arrested, attacked, or killed for their unawareness to the law or responsibility. And to further stack onto this, Vitaly seems to have inspired a new wave of impressionable and unassuming predator hunters that don't have the resources or funds to set up a team of bodyguards or potential actors to make their endeavors safer. Which brings up an important point. Vitaly is not a total dumbass. Vitaly has a team, and more importantly, a lot of money to throw at anything to make things go his way or away. It seriously cannot be believed that every single thing he does on Kick is real, right? That being said, I want to move on to a stark contrast. Some of you might be wondering why I name-dropped Alex Rosen earlier in my video without referencing him up until now. First things first, criticism where criticism is due. Alex Rosen has his own share of failures, a notable example being the widely recognized EDP situation of 2021. In this case, Alex Rosen confronted EDP 445 for soliciting and attempting to meet a minor. However, they completely botched the sting by not properly notifying authorities and seemingly setting EDP up for sabotage. For all intents and purposes, EDP was in fact guilty in the court of public opinion, a belief I hold to this day, as the evidence provided truly showed what kind of despicable and disgusting individual EDP was, and still is. However, the failure of Alex Rosen was in the fact that they didn't cooperate with law enforcement before or during the ordeal. It was only after they confronted him that any law enforcement was called. By that point, the evidence they had was considered unsubstantial, as it was largely dismissed as a setup for potential clicks and internet presentation. Does this sound particularly similar to something else? To Catch a Predator's failures and Vitaly's thirst for kick fame and revenue are showing a lot of overlapping similarities. Since then, Alex Rosen has made a strong comeback, and through what I would call trial and error and polishing his methods, he has become quite successful in his formula for catching predators, although he is far more consistent than someone like Vitaly. In Alex's case, we have seen various examples of Alex not only getting proof of solicitation, which is a crime, not only getting intent, which is also a crime, not only getting admission, which is also a crime, but the way he goes about it while still being as good as any non-professional can get is far more organized and follows some key practices in properly getting an arrest and conviction.
Alex Rosen has repeatedly treated predators as humans and through a build of rapport has gotten predators to willingly admit to their wrongdoings, show proof of their wrongdoings, or has even gotten them to turn themselves in. And if Alex Rosen's word is anything to go by, he has gotten convictions in 33 states and arrests in 46, already a massive number in contrast to Vitaly's 2 arrests. While vigilantism is a very looked down upon practice of justice, predator hunting is one variation that by many is applauded for its potential to remove human garbage from society. Regardless of how people view predator hunting, as I've iterated, this practice is one that can come with more harm than good, like any other form of vigilantism. For more reasons than just the obvious fact that, more often than not, law officials will not recognize your efforts as something worth investigating, let alone a prosecution or arrest. I want to bring up one final example, the case of Kyle Swanson. Kyle Swanson was a former self-proclaimed leader of a predator hunting group known as KTS Predator Hunters on Facebook. While at this point, not a lot of information is known about them as most of their traces have been deleted from the internet, one particular sting they planned went viral for being a complete failure on all accounts of the law. To keep things short and simple, due to Kyle's overly assertive methods, he had lured a man into his car, locked him in, refused to let him out, threatened to hit him, and advised him to delete any potential evidence he may have had off of his phone. Due to Kyle's incredibly irresponsible behavior towards the suspect at hand, it would actually be Kyle who would be charged in this case. The charges? Assault, unlawful restraint, and obstruction of justice. Kyle would shortly after cease operations in regards to predator hunting as he faced indictments for his actions. Fortunately for Kyle, his charges would be dropped as Madison County dismissed his case and ceased prosecution. According to Kyle himself, following this 3 years of predator hunting, out of 300 exposed predators, 29 were arrested, 25 were convicted, with many counties refusing to convict based on their evidence. Due to Kyle's failure, he simply faced a run-in with the law and was lucky to be given leniency by prosecutors, and this is one of the best possible outcomes if things happen to go wrong. In several other instances, there have been stories of predator hunters falsely accusing individuals, assaulting and beating potentially innocent individuals, killing those potentially innocent individuals, and the list goes on. But possibly one of the worst examples of things going wrong would be Bhupak Shakur's death. Real name, Robert Wayne Lee. While posing as a 15-year-old girl, Lee lured 2 individuals aged 16 and 18. After an altercation with Lee and the alleged predators, Lee was suspected to be shot by the 16-year-old individual and had passed away. Again, while some may argue that predator hunting is a good thing, I have to bring up the important notice that while predator hunting does offer a very important and valuable service to society, when executed in the wrong ways, it does significantly more harm than good. When comparing Vitaly to some major predator hunting failures throughout the last 20 years, it's incredibly easy to draw strong similarities to how ineffective and potentially damaging Vitaly's efforts truly are, especially in the grand scheme of things. We have multiple aspects here. There is no way that Vitaly isn't doing this for entertainment and clout. I know I tried giving grace to him in the beginning, but that was for the sake of fair observation. No one in their right mind would say that Vitaly does this for the sake of being a good person, which ultimately is counterintuitive to his predator catching efforts. Based on repeated cases and examples, there is no way that law enforcement would prosecute most, if any, of the people he catches. Vitaly also does not care for or respect the law. Everything he does while agitated at the fact that he has to abide by the law and even kicks rules. If it were up to him, he would do much worse things for the sake of, again, virality. Vitaly consistently puts the people he does confront in harm's way by simply making it a public scandal. And while predators are extremely deserving of any punishment that comes their way, this leaves Vitaly vulnerable to potential legal troubles or lawsuits. And that's not even including the fact that Vitaly himself sometimes participates in harassment or assault of said predators, which again can bring legal trouble his way. All variables and aspects considered, this brings me to the overarching answer and conclusion to the claim: how Vitaly continues to be a menace. Because of Vitaly's tendency to go viral, it is very easy for people to notice all of these things and either A, find it incredibly obnoxious and irresponsible, or B, find it incredibly entertaining and admirable. Before we get into A, let's talk about B. Vitaly genuinely does does have a lot of onlookers and supporters, as well as people that are influenced by his content, and as anything that gets popular on the internet goes, it does not take long for there to be imitators grasping at the trend in an attempt to hit it big in internet fame. This can and has led to people going out on their own variations of predator hunting. As I said earlier in the video, this is incredibly dangerous as many could either become a victim of circumstance or get themselves into legal trouble. They do not have the money, power, pool, resources, or team necessary to make this a less risky endeavor. With this can come more people either setting themselves up for failure or potentially slandering innocent individuals and ruining their lives for the sake of internet clout. And with this attempt at clout grabbing, that's where we get into A. There will be people of all kinds that look at all of these predator hunters, including law enforcement themselves, and find it incredibly irresponsible and a mockery of justice. Because of this, predator hunting is even less likely to be taken seriously, especially when one of the most viral and prominent examples would be Vitaly himself. When you search up child predator hunting, the main people to show up are failures known to have completely misrepresented a story or botched their operations. People such as Mama Max, Bupak Shakur, and even Vitaly. Vigilantism is already a frowned upon practice by the scales of justice and often turned away because there is a distrust from officials towards vigilantes, and even more so towards those that do it for fame and reputation. So, when you have people copying Vitaly and Vitaly himself running around making a mockery of what could be a very serious practice, there is no doubt in my mind or anyone else's mind that potentially, when people like Alex Rosen try their hardest to do a good job, they will still be turned away out of general resentment for vigilantism, due to the fact that others muddy the water so much. This means that because of people like Vitaly, when predators are confronted and rightfully exposed for being dangerous parasites of society, the likelihood of them being convicted or even arrested may go down exponentially. This means that more and more predators will actually end up walking free than face proper punishment for their actions. They will more than likely also reoffend, and despite the tactic that Vitaly claims he does by scaring them straight and making them not reoffend out of fear, they will simply just press charges and make themselves far more comfortable to go out and continue their potential crimes against humanity. Ultimately, all of these issues have their own snowball effect, perpetuating the likelihood of predators being free to reoffend and potentially retaliate against those who expose them, whether it be legally or physically. If the law won't prosecute them, and if they know they can just keep doing whatever they want because they can retaliate, Vitaly has ultimately done more harm than good and has continued to just be a menace to society. You know, what's funny is that I was actually going to end the video right there, but before I end this video, I have to say literally one day after I finished writing and researching this video, what I said came to become not just speculation, but a reality. As of June 13, one day after this video was written, it was reported that Vitaly got hit with a 17-count lawsuit that included complaints such as defamation and invasion of privacy. Here is an excerpt. In the viral video, defendant is shown supposedly catching a predator, plaintiff, in a sting operation to catch predators. The video depicts defendant and his camera crew chanting certified lover boy, certified pedophile, and then stating that the person whom plaintiff met was a 15-year-old boy, dude. This defamatory portrayal was intended to incite public outrage and destroy plaintiff's reputation, leveraging defendant's notoriety for personal gain at the expense of plaintiff's dignity and privacy. Already, in this short amount of time, we are seeing the negative results of vigilantism and how an unskilled and poorly prepared individual, if you could even call it that, can destroy credibility for others who would like to do the same in a more secure and well-executed manner. Something that is being used here that has been repeatedly used in the examples I provided throughout this video is the defamatory portrayal defense. This defamatory portrayal was intended to incite public outrage and destroy plaintiff's reputation, leveraging defendant's notoriety for personal gain at the expense of plaintiff's dignity and privacy. I hope Vitaly has good lawyers and plenty of evidence, because as we have seen with notorious examples like To Catch a Predator, these situations don't usually end in an easy victory. While I could reiterate my claim that this could potentially cause a snowball effect and a trend of more lawsuits coming their way, I think that the fact this happened alone is proof enough that when predator hunting is done recklessly and for the intent of personal gain, more harm is done than good in the overall predator catching scene, and we will continue to see situations like these further discredit the effectiveness of predator catching. And that's really all I got for today. Thanks for watching.